Have you ever felt like your strengths and abilities aren't enough to get through a difficult time? Perhaps you've been relying on yourself to figure everything out, only to feel frustrated and overwhelmed. This is where the powerful message of not by might nor by power comes in. This verse, found in Zechariah 4:6, reminds us that true success and strength come from a different place, not from our own abilities or accomplishments, but from God's presence and guidance. It's a refreshing reminder that we don't have to do it all on our own. As we explore this verse further, let's consider what it means to live by faith rather than might. How can we surrender our need for control and trust in God's sovereignty instead? And what does it look like to lean into His power when we feel weak or inadequate? We'll delve into the nuances of this verse, unpacking its significance and relevance for our modern lives. We'll discuss how it speaks to our culture's emphasis on self-sufficiency and the dangers of relying too heavily on ourselves. Through this journey, my hope is that you'll discover a deeper understanding of what it means to live by faith, and find comfort in knowing that God's strength is made perfect in weakness. Biblical context and key passages. The verse, "not by might nor by power," appears in Zechariah 4:6, where God encourages the prophet to rely on His presence rather than human strength. This message is not unique to this passage. It's echoed throughout Scripture, reminding us that true success and strength come from a different place. In Isaiah 40:31, we're told that those who wait upon the Lord will renew their strength, so they can soar on wings like eagles. Similarly, in Philippians 4:13, Paul writes about his ability to do all things through Christ's power. These passages illustrate the idea that God's power is not limited by human weakness. Another significant passage is Romans 8:28-30, where we're reminded that God works everything out for our good, even when it seems like our circumstances are beyond control. This verse encourages us to trust in God's sovereignty and timing, rather than trying to fix things on our own. While these passages may seem unrelated at first glance, they all point to the same truth. True strength comes from faith, not human might or power. It's a crucial distinction that can change how we approach life's challenges and difficulties. This concept is especially relevant in our modern culture, where self-sufficiency is often prized above all else. Meaning and key themes. The phrase, "not by might nor by power," from Zechariah 4:6 has far-reaching implications for how we approach life's challenges. At its core, it reminds us that true strength and success are not derived from our human abilities or accomplishments, but from God's presence and guidance. This message counters the prevailing notion in our culture that self-sufficiency is key to overcoming obstacles. Rather, it suggests that we can find comfort and hope in surrendering our need for control and trusting in God's sovereignty instead. When we look at this verse through the lens of biblical context, we see that it's not an isolated idea but rather a thread woven throughout Scripture. From Isaiah 40:31 to Philippians 4:13, we're reminded that true power is not limited by human weakness, but is instead made perfect in our vulnerabilities. This concept speaks directly to the heart of what it means to live by faith rather than might. It's a call to trust in God's goodness and timing, even when circumstances seem beyond our control. As we explore this verse further, let's consider how it challenges our modern understanding of strength and success. What does it mean to be strong in the eyes of God? How can we learn to lean into His power rather than relying solely on our own abilities? We'll delve deeper into these questions as we examine the practical application of this verse in our lives. Practical application today. Applying the principle of not by might nor by power to our daily lives requires a willingness to surrender our need for control and trust in God's sovereignty. This can be a difficult but liberating experience, especially when we're faced with challenges that seem insurmountable. One way to begin practicing this principle is by acknowledging the limitations of our own strength and abilities. Recognizing our vulnerabilities and weaknesses can be a humbling experience, but it's also an opportunity to lean into God's power and guidance. This may involve redefining what we mean by success or strength. Rather than measuring ourselves by human standards, we can learn to see value in our weaknesses and limitations. This perspective shift allows us to trust in God's ability to make something beautiful out of our brokenness. Practicing self-awareness and humility, reframing our understanding of strength and success, the end result is a deeper understanding of what it means to live by faith rather than might. We'll discover that God's power is made perfect in our weaknesses, and we can find comfort in knowing that He is always with us, even when we feel weak or inadequate. In conclusion, as we've explored the "not by might nor by power" verse from Zechariah 4:6, it's clear that true strength and success come from a different place, not from our own abilities or accomplishments, but from God's presence and guidance. This message is a refreshing reminder that we don't have to do it all on our own. By surrendering our need for control and trusting in God's sovereignty, we can find comfort and hope in the midst of life's challenges. We'll discover that God's power is made perfect in our weaknesses, and we can learn to lean into His guidance rather than relying solely on our own abilities. As you reflect on this verse, ask yourself, how can I trust more fully in God's goodness and timing? What are some areas where I need to surrender my need for control and let God take the reins?